What's up, everybody? Aaron the dog here, and as always, I am joined by Ryan from MMA Wage. Wow, Brandon from MMA Wagers. Sorry, I'm on a text message right now with my other podcast partner, whose name is Ryan, and I literally smoked one too many before this. Smoked one too many before this breakdown. But anyways, sorry about that. Aaron the dog here, as always, joined by Brandon. Sorry, you would think that you would have won last week in the Aaron versus Brandon fight, but
no, I knew I was doomed.
yeah, that was a little closer than I would have cared for on the Fay breakdown. But
it's always a sweat with Aaron McKenzie, I swear.
Yeah, we had it come through and everything. But yeah, we're here this afternoon to break down the first PFL of the year, PFL 2021, first PFL in 2 years, actually, since they took all of last year off the pandemic. Yeah, and so they're going with a catchy name of PFL 2021 #1. That's how they're identifying their events. They don't, really do anything else other than that. Headlined by Pettis versus Clay Collard. Clay Collard making his return to MMA after a couple years stint over in professional boxing, where he was decently successful. I think he had a pretty big upset over in boxing where he was like a plus 800 or plus 900 underdog in one of them, where he's facing like a legit prospect. So, spoiler, he's the underdog tonight against Anthony Pettis, but we'll get to that. But yeah, I'm happy to have more MMA. We're recording this on a Wednesday, so tonight there's the ONEFC card on TNT over in the States, at least. I don't know the situation up in
10 p.m. Eastern here. I know that.
Yep, 10 p.m. Eastern.
It's freezing here, by the way, -6 in fucking April.
Yeah, is that Celsius or Fahrenheit?
Sorry, degrees.
Okay,
just -6 degrees.
Just making sure. And then it's not quite -6 here. It was a pretty nice day. I wore shorts and a t-shirt outside. Nice. So yeah. Just the good old-fashioned weather talk here on Talking KOs. But, what do you say we hop into some fights here?
Man, I've been looking forward to it.
Doing the sharing of the screen here, and we're just going to get rid of the banner because that's kind of getting in the way.
We still have all 10 fights set?
Yeah, we have 10 fights on this card. All at 155 or 145. So we should expect some really good action, some familiar faces, some new faces. But yeah, we'll jump on in. Loik Radzhabov, I've apologized for any butchering of any names, versus Alex Martinez. Alex Martinez making his PFL debut. Radzhabov, we should be familiar with. His last fight was for $1 million against Natan Schulte. He went to decision. 30 years old now, 13-2-1, taking on the 7-0 newcomer, Alex Martinez, about to turn 27 years old, 5'10", fighting out of Champion Gym. Not too familiar with that. 5'10", like I said, decent sized lightweight. So far in his career has finished 6 of 7 fights, a few of them by submission, a few with his strikes. He looked pretty well-rounded. I was able to watch his fight against Christopher Ramirez, who that was for Icon last year. Christopher Ramirez was a pretty rangy striker, but caught him in a guillotine pretty early on and adjusted and finished with a standing guillotine. So Alex Martinez seems to have like some decent skill, to be honest. I think he's definitely being a little bit counted out of this one just based on his opponent and his opponent being familiar with PFL and, having an impressive record of 13-2-1, so double the experience. Loik, he's definitely good, very well-rounded, doesn't do anything bad. We see a split decision on here. We see a majority draw. So, and then even his decision losses to Magomedov and Schulte are competitive. So I honestly when I look at this fight, I expect it to be a pretty competitive fight myself. I think that originally Johnny Case was scheduled to be Alex Martinez's next fight. So that was a guy who fought in PFL. So I think that this is, he's also a Canadian prospect. He's fighting out of Grand Prairie, Alberta. So, but yeah, I expect this to be a really close fight. I think it's going to go to a decision. I think a lot of these fights tonight are going to be very close. And a lot of them are going to go to distance just because of the way these guys match up. This is a big step up for Alex Martinez. That's one of my big holdups on fully picking him. But I have a feeling with Loik's price, I'm not going to be able to be comfortable with that either. So I would lean Loik to see a split decision, which means I could see it either way, really. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is going to be a good scrap to start off the fight card. Yeah, we got my Canadian prospect here. He's not born in Canada, but he's been training in Alberta.
I think he's out of Paraguay.
Paraguay, exactly. Yep. Yeah, South America. Those South Americans are tough. It's hard to get them out of there. They fight with their heart on their sleeve every time. Yeah, Martinez is coming in short notice. He's an undefeated prospect. He's fought in Icon, which is I think David Van Ancun promotes Icon.
Yep. Yeah, he's super close with them. I've had a lot of guys come to there, and a lot of guys after the UFC work their way back up. It's definitely a good feeder organization.
Yeah, we just saw Jason Knight. Jason Knight just had a crazy performance, and Brock Weaver as well. He could get one or two more wins in Icon and maybe get back into the UFC.
How about those fighting on a Contender Series fight, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't hold Brock Weaver in the highest regard, but that Icon fight actually opened my eyes a bit. He's been learning. He's got potential. But I'm just saying Icon is a good promotion, good just starting off promotion. They're still growing, obviously. But yeah, he won in that. He's got a couple brave fights, but he's fighting somebody who's fought some of the best in PFL. Islam Mammadov, Rashid Magomedov. He has a win over Chris Wade. A win over Chris Wade is very well. He got 30-27 over him. That's the only reason I kind of hold it in higher regard than most, because
was he the first to beat Chris Wade over in PFL?
He must have been one of the first, because he's had a very successful career in PFL. Because it was pretty impressive. Schulte, it was a split decision.
Yeah.
So Natan Schulte and Loik.
Oh, Schulte was a split decision?
Yeah, he won a split with him. It could have won either way.
Yeah. Okay.
I like Chris Wade, man. So if you win over him, I like your style.
Especially 30-27.
Yeah, and the age, I think Loik Radzhabov is just he's in the prime of his career. He's got a big following. He's going to be hungry to get another W here. Start off in the PFL format on the right way. We should probably just say a few things about the tournament. How there's no elbows involved in these fights. We have to throw that out there.
Yep.
And it's also a point-based format to get into the playoffs. So not all these fighters will be competing in the playoffs. They're fighting to get points, to accumulate points for a chance to compete in the playoffs. There's only going to be 4 fighters from each division chosen to be in the playoffs. So even if you win 2 unanimous decisions, you're still not guaranteed a spot. So Lance Palmer was kind of pissed off about that. I heard him in his interview saying, if I win 2 fights, I should be in the playoffs no matter what. But whatever PFL wants to do, he can leave PFL whenever he wants. It's only a 1-year contract each year. It's not like PFL they're not holding these guys for 12 years at a time. It's a 1-year contract. So yeah, Lance Palmer, if he wins dominantly twice and doesn't get into the playoffs, he's going to be kind of pissed off, and he'll probably explore free agency maybe get into the UFC or potentially Bellator. But yeah, back to this fight. So yeah, those were just a few PFL rules. No elbows, point-based system. I like
Points based on
Loki.
a finish. So a first round finish gets you the most points. The decision gets you the least.
Yeah, I think I don't know the exact point-based.
That's how it
I don't
is.
know the exact. Like round one might get you 6 points, and then a
Yeah,
decision is 3 points, something like
right.
that.
It's something to that effect. And so far, at least, it hasn't seemed to have that much of an effect on the finishing rate.
No, it hasn't.
You see a lot, actually, more decisions over in PFL. They had two fights in one night. At one point, I'm not sure if they're going to do that again. But either way, you would think on paper you'd be like, oh, you incentivize the finish, and like it doesn't work.
You would think you'd get more finishes this way.
No, because both guys are trying not to get finished, and like it's not
There's a
just
lot
like
of
I want to finish. Like, oh, you want to finish, so I'm done. Like, I don't want you. Like, it's a fight.
$1 million. You got to think about that. That's in the back of your head the entire time.
Yeah, and a guy like Lance Palmer who can control 95 to 98% of featherweights outside of the UFC has to hate knowing that he can get 230-25s and be shut out. That's hard for any of the wrestlers in here, just because guys, and it does potentially play into an advantage for an Alex Martinez to become a household name in a year, because he's not going to decision Loik here. I think most likely he's going to have to come on and kind of just blitz him in that first round, gas pedal, go for it.
Both these guys have a high round one and round two finishes.
Correct.
Neither of them have a high percentage in decision wins or round three finishes. So I'm expecting a quick finish or Alex Martinez to be like a tough outing and last 3 rounds. But my official pick is Loik. I don't think we have to spend much more time on this one.
Yeah, no, I agree. So we're gonna move on here. The odds, just to cover those, Loik is a -365 favorite. I'm seeing up to a -410 depending on the book. That's rough. A +3. If I can get a +300 on Alex Martinez, I'm taking a shot. That's just me as a gambler here. I
think Loik might be a good parlay piece.
Yeah, I'm not as sold on that, but that can be yours. I like Alex's amateur experience as well, and I noticed that. I think he was preparing for a pretty legit opponent. So moving on to the next fight here.
Loik does have a couple teammates on this card as well. At a UFD, Jim Dazzledorf. We'll get to them.
Yeah, we'll get to. Fair enough. So next fight is at featherweight. It's our first featherweight fight between two UFC outcasts, actually. Sung Bin Jo and Tyler Diamond. 9-1 taking on 11-1, 28 years old. Sung Bin Jo, the Korean Falcon, as he was referred to, taking on Tyler Durden, formerly of Tough. 5'7" versus 6 foot right away is what I noticed.
Yeah.
And it's only a 1.5 inch reach disadvantage, but that means that the legs, there's a significant difference in leg reach. And so that could, play into making it a little tougher for maybe Tyler to get this fight to the ground, which is, I think, where he's going to need it. Tyler Diamond, 30 years old now, 5'7", fighting on Team Alpha Male. He's a Team Alpha Male guy. I don't know how else to really put it.
They haven't looked
he's a
that great lately, actually. Team Alpha Male. They've just been, kind of dropped off lately. Team Alpha Male as a whole. We saw Alex Munoz have a competitive decision versus Luis Pena, but they were supposed to have Ricardo Ramos on that UFC card, but he got COVID or somebody did. I'll name one good Team Alpha Male fighter. You know who I'm going to say? Somebody from Bellator.
Go ahead.
Chris Gonzalez. He is the number one Team Alpha Male.
I think we might have a few people on this card who fought Chris Gonzalez, or at least one that I'm breaking down for either this card or a card coming up who had a really close fight with Chris Gonzalez early on.
Aaron
So.
McKenzie last week.
Was it Aaron McKenzie? I think there's someone this week too. Maybe Lazar Stojadinovic, I believe, who's taking on a guy later on. I believe
that guy's legit. Like one of my favorite upcoming prospects, Chris Gonzalez.
Yeah, I believe he fought Chris Gonzalez to a close decision, not the prospect, the other guy. But back to this fight, Tyler Diamond on tough. He lost by knockout to Jay Kukliano.
That's bad.
That's real bad. He got tired and then he got knocked out. That's good. He had a majority decision to Bryce Mitchell. It was a really good grappling bout. He's since had 2 straight wins. John Neal, he took his O, so that's always good to see. John Neal's gone on to lose 2 straight, I believe, though. And then Justin Lin, I'm not familiar with him, 8-4. He finished him real quick, 38 seconds. Came out, got the back, grappled. Yeah, I think that we kind of know what Tyler Diamond wants to do. He wants to kind of just wrestle, keep this fight on the ground. Fight's pretty similar, if I'm being honest, to Munoz. So we got the wrestler versus a striker for the most part in Sung Bin Ju, although he does have, I believe, 5 submission finishes as well.
4 submissions,
4 submission finishes, 5 KO finishes. Got a decision last time against was on the short end of the decision against Daniel Tamer last time. Daniel Tamer just came in and fought a really desperate fight. Fights on Tiger Muay Thai. I've liked what I've been able to see when I've gone back and looked at Sung Bin Jo's tape. He has had 5-round experience before. So, when I look at kind of the potential cardio here, I think it could go Sung's way. But I do think that Tyler's going to, look to take this down. And I think that's where, Sung showed some issues before against Daniel Tamer. I frankly rate Tyler Diamond's grappling much better. But if Sung's shored up that hole in his game, it's been 1.5 years since he's fought, almost 2 years actually, fought in June of 2019. I just think that, Tyler can be KO'd. And I do think that Sung has the power to do so. So I'm going to actually go with the underdog here. And the guy was in the UFC more recently. I'm going to go Sung Bin Ju Ho.
The Japanese fighters, they've looked great, man. Like in one, they've been winning by KO.
I like Sung Bin Ju. I'm going to say round 2 KO.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, round 2. Yeah, Tyler Diamond, Team Alpha Male product. He fights like a Team Alpha Male guy. He's a boxer, wrestler. He'll take you down, try to ground and pound you, win by a unanimous decision if he can. And that's what we saw.
In 40 seconds.
Yeah, did you see that fight?
I ended up seeing a Twitter highlight of it. It was definitely a nice finish.
It wasn't controversial.
No, he finished him.
No, because sometimes I see those quick finishes and I'm like, how does that happen so fast? Sometimes I think it might be controversial, but at the same time, it could be for real.
No, it was just. It was he took the back and squeezed.
Yeah, and that's what Team Alpha Male guys do. That they're experts in guillotines, rear naked chokes. Both UFC standouts. Tyler Diamond did go 1-1 on the Ultimate Fighter. He lost his UFC debut versus Bryce Mitchell. It was a majority decision. There was a 10-8 round in there. So I'm guessing Bryce Mitchell might have got a 10-8 and made it the majority. I didn't. I haven't watched that fight recently, but yeah, both these guys. They're young. They're in their prime. Like you said, if Sung Bin Jo worked on his grappling and can keep this on the feet, he's got a great chance here. We just saw Sung Woo Cho beat Yusuf Zalal like 2 months ago. And I'm pretty sure they train together, Sung Bin Jo, or at least they're on the same circuit. So yeah, if they have similar training partners or coaches, Sungwoo Cho looked incredible his last fight. Yusuf Zalal could not get that takedown, and if Sung Bin Jo in this fight can replicate what Sungwoo Cho did, he could definitely steal a decision here, or even potentially, like you said, a second round knockout. But
Yeah.
the game plan has been set to beat Sung Bin Jo with Daniel Tamer, and Tyler Diamond has that exact blueprint to beat him. So I'm not counting Tyler Diamond out either. He can easily win this by decision. I don't think he'll finish him, but yeah, based off the odds, I like Sung Bin Jo to at least put up a good fight and potentially cash as a decent sized underdog here.
Yeah, we get to the odds just to finish that off. -350 for Tyler Diamond. Sung Bin Jo coming back
up. It must have went up.
Yeah, coming back at +260. The odds the money has been shifting towards Tyler, but I like the shot at the dog, so we'll leave it at that.
Always win, guys. Fade the public.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. I think Tyler Diamond has one of those names that sticks with the public's mind. He was on Tough. There's a lot of, and I just think Sung Bin Jo, people don't even realize his last fight was in the UFC, maybe.
Yeah. And Tyler Diamond could potentially fight Lance Palmer in the tournament, former training partners.
Yeah, that would definitely be interesting. But
I'll go Lance if they ever fight.
If Sung Bin Jo can get a first or second round finish, he moves himself into a position to really be.
Look at all the belts on him. He's got 2 belts around his shoulders.
6 feet tall. 6 feet tall, good looking potential prospect, and has had a year and a half off to really improve. So
let's take the dog, Aaron.
What's that?
Let's take the dog.
We both got the dog here. So with that being said, we're gonna move on to your boy Chris Wade and Mr. Dizy, I believe is his name. It's Anthony Dizy. Yeah, that's how you pronounce it. Lamas out of France. He's 32 years old, taking on the 33-year-old Chris Wade, the Long Island Killer, as he's referred to. Didn't realize that Chris Wade was 33. And so I'm going to start with
155.
This is at 155 or 155. Yes. Anthony Dizy coming up from 145 for this fight against Chris Wade, who's a pretty good size lightweight. Actually, this is at featherweight. So my mistake. This is at featherweight. This is Chris Wade's debut at featherweight, I believe.
Yeah, it must be.
So he's going to be massive for this weight if he can make the scales. So that is
Chris 146.
That is definitely an aspect of this I didn't take into account. I thought that it was Anthony Dizy who was coming up in weight for this fight. Anthony Dizy has fought at 155 before. He got knocked out by Tim Wilde in a really crazy fight. That was really outstanding, and he was dominating. He's definitely a grappler, just like kind of a grinder. Anthony Dizy is. He just grinds. He's played spoiler a few times to some undefeated guys. He beat Colin Fletcher, out-grappled him, former UFC guy, decent grappler. Beat Martin Stapleton, beat Lawrence Fitzpatrick. Has some good wins, and just doesn't do it that impressively. Did fight at featherweight in his last performance, which was against a 10-3 guy in Zalembeg Omarov. He ended up getting to finish in the third round. Yeah, for the most part, he goes to decision, doesn't get a lot of finishes, to be honest. So was impressive to see in his featherweight debut. He was able to get the finish. Chris Wade, solid guy. He's been around for what feels like forever and has kind of always fought the same. Goes to a lot of decisions. Does have one finish in the PFL. It was a first-round guillotine choke over Yuki Kawana. Other than that, fights everybody close. Has a decision loss to Islam Makhachev back in the day. close decision losses to Natan Schulte, lost to Loik Radzhabov in his last fight, and that was at 155. And now he's making the cut down to 145. I frankly did not know that. And against a guy like Anthony Dizy, I think it could be interesting position. I was already a little interested in Anthony Dizy under the impression this was a 155 fight. Now knowing it's 145, Anthony Dizy is just like a grinder. He sticks on you. He makes a tiring game plan. I'll say this right now, if Chris Wade looks rough at the weigh-ins, I'm taking a look at this one. I'm not making any action on this till I see what Chris Wade looks like on the scale. If he misses by like 0.75 pounds or something, I might be really looking into Anthony Dizy here. Anthony Dizy has fought at 155 as well. And Chris Wade, 33 and a half years old now, and has been in a lot of grueling, grinding affairs, a lot of decisions not been finished, but still it's a lot of miles on the tires here. So I'll go with Chris Wade as of now, and assuming that the weight cut's done effectively and nicely and he looks good. But if he's looking rough, if he needs the towels, if he doesn't make weight, we might have to look at Anthony Dizy. Just grind it. Anthony Dizy, anytime I'm going to pick him, it's going to be to grind out a decision. I don't know how you could pick him to get a finish. He's a grinder.
Yeah, he kind of has a similar game plan to Chris Wade. Chris Wade is also a grinder. He's got a good karate wrestling base. Never been finished. He's lost by 6 decisions though, 5 unanimous, 1 split. But against pretty good competition, Natan Schulte, who's a 2-time PFL champion, the aforementioned Loik Radzhabov, Islam Makhachev. We've seen him, like he might be the next UFC lightweight champion. Husam Khaybulaev when he was in his prime. So yeah, the guy's Aussie. Like if you're Russian, you're gonna beat Chris Wade. It seems like this guy's French. He's from France. I do like what I've seen from French athletes lately. They've looked very strong in the striking department and like long and lanky. But you said this guy's more of a grappler.
Yeah, he's a grinder. He does have a 3-inch reach.
Stick on you.
Yeah, he does have a 3-inch reach advantage on Chris Wade, which I'm surprised about.
Yeah, Anthony. Yeah, he does. But he's 3 inches shorter, which is like I noticed these French fighters are so long and lanky, all of them. I think the competition difference is going to play a factor here. I don't like how Chris Wade is dropping 10 pounds at 33. I don't know what drove him to do that. We saw Omar Moraes go down to 145 in the UFC against Giga Shikadze, and he got completely outskilled, and he was just so slow at that weight class. You could tell there was a big speed disadvantage. I know,
well, and he rebounded. He did, and Omar Moraes is in his 30s as well. So I think that's an apt comparison. He's a bigger 155er, which I considered Chris Wade, and also Omar looked a lot better in his second go around at 145. So I think that
exactly
there could be an adjustment.
Exactly, like this one is a question mark. He could look flat. That first time going to 145. I don't know if he wrestled at 145, but he's a true 155er. I've only seen him fight at lightweight, so this is a strange trajectory in his career going to 145. Maybe he thinks he can bully these featherweights, but like you said, Anthony's somebody who's going to stick on you and try to out grapple you, and that's Chris Wade's game. So yeah, like you said, if he looks drained at the weigh-ins, he might need that initial debut to finally settle into 145, because there is a speed disadvantage. When you go down, you're facing fighters that are a lot faster. They may be smaller, but they're faster, usually faster twitch. And I like
sometimes
Chris Wade.
Chin issues too with weight cutters.
Exactly. Yeah, the dehydration. He's never been knocked out, but there's a first for everything. Anthony Dizy does have 5 knockouts, and he's from like these French fighters are legit at striking. I've seen some of them. I don't know if this guy's in the same realm, but
No, not really. I mean, this guy's kind of an old school, but yeah, I mean, so your official pick would be Chris Wade, but
by
pending
decision.
weigh-ins.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty much
Yeah.
on the same boat as you are right now.
Yeah, and Chris Wade right now, now these odds make a little more sense to me. He's a minus 255 favorite. I think a lot of that is weight cut pending and new weight class, and just he's facing a guy who makes it close with everybody he's been in there with. Tim Wild's a legit guy. I mean, Lawrence Fitzpatrick, like I said, Marcus Stapleton. Those guys are all, I'd say, on a level similar to Chris Wade, if I'm being honest, especially at this point in his career. So we're going to agree here, but that's definitely pending. I think this is an interesting fight, and we're going to move on. So we're moving on to the next fight, and I'll make sure to keep an eye on what weight class these are all in. At 155, Akhmet Aliev taking on Mikhail Odintsov. Dancer versus the Butcher. This is one I'm very much looking forward to. Mikhail making his PFL debut at 18-2, so a really nice record. 29 years old, 5'9", known as Dancer. I mean, he's a he's mostly a stand-up kickboxer for the most part. Most of his finishes that he does have coming by way of strikes, has a couple rear naked chokes early on. Honestly, not too familiar with a lot of the level of talent he's faced. He has been finished before by guillotine. One of his losses is by the other loss is by disqualification, and I'm not exactly sure what the disqualification was. I wasn't able to find the fight. He's faced a range of competition. His guillotine choke loss was to a guy who was 21-1 coming in the 4th round. So, I mean, I think this guy's definitely very tough. He's fought on RCC, the road to PFL. So that was last year. Had 2 decision wins over a 39-18 guy and a 18-8 guy, as well as a 15-4 guy. So definitely has faced a good range of competition coming into this one. It's hard to find a ton of tape on him, but for the most part, likes to rely on his kickboxing. Akhmet Aliev, the Butcher, 5'8". I really like this guy. I liked what I saw out of him last year in the PFL series. Fights out of Eagles MMA, so that's always good. Did have a decision loss to Chris Wade, so that's definitely one. But had a first-round knockout of Carlos Silva, which I found pretty impressive. Throws really good wheel kicks and spinning kicks as well. Had a wheel kick finish of an 11-0 guy in Magomed Sayed Aliev. Has a decision win over Rashid Magomedov. That was a really tactical fight where he was able to mix in the takedowns and just out Magomedov, which is not easy. He did lose by arm triangle to Natan Schulte in the, I believe it was the semifinals of that. But yeah, gave a good showing of himself. I really like Eagles MMA overall right now. I'm not sure if he's going to have Khabib in his corner or not with the UFC going on this weekend. But either way, I like Aliev's level of competition, his experience in the PFL, his ability to really mix it up here. He's not just going to look to keep this a kickboxing fight against a kickboxer. I think he's going to look to mix up the takedowns. Being able to take down Rashid Magomedov multiple times is no easy feat. I think that's kind of the route Aliev goes and gets a possible finish, but I think definitely a pretty comfortable decision for him. I think there's just kind of levels to this game, and I've only been able to see a few of Mikhail's fights over in Road to PFL, and he looked good, looked to really control the fight on the feet, but I think if you crowd him, don't give him that space to get off the kickboxing, I think that this can be a good fight for Aliev to establish himself in the tournament.
Yeah, this is a great fight. Like this might be the dark horse of the tournament. Mikhail Odintsov. Just
Yes.
like we saw Yaksha Maradov in Bellator. A lot of people considered him the dark horse, and like you said, there's levels to this game, and Corey Anderson showed he's on an entirely different level.
Yes.
I don't know if I can say the same about Akhmet Aliev. He has faced really good opposition. He's 19-6. Yeah, I don't think Khabib will be there because PFL has had a crazy bubble. Like you've had to quarantine for like 3 weeks or something. So
Yeah.
yeah, I doubt Khabib's going to be there, but obviously, he'll be there spiritually, in my opinion. Yeah, both guys have good records, but the competition difference like plays a huge factor here. Akhmet Aliev has faced like some of the best in PFL. Mikhail did get a ticket to PFL, beating Tamar Nagabin and Shabanov, both by unanimous decision, but those were both three times 3 minute rounds, so they weren't even full. Well, because there were 2 fights in one night, so they shortened the length of the rounds. This time he's coming in 3 times 5 minute rounds, so that might play a bit of a factor here for him. Akhmed did get finished in round 2 by Natan Schulte, who is the 2-time PFL champion. But he did cash as an underdog versus Rashid Magomedov, winning 2 rounds against a very formidable opponent in Rashid, who we've seen really dominate UFC.
And then he fought Natan later that night.
Yeah, and it was after that decision win. So I can't hold that loss in such high regard, because say he fought him on a full train, it might be a different story. He lost to Chris Wade, who I said earlier, who I think is a very good opponent. Yeah, I like your thoughts here. Akhmet Aliev, I did pick him originally, but I dug into his Mikhail's record. He's definitely an unknown. He's the dark horse in this competition. I don't want to load up. Honestly, I don't want to load up at all on these initial fights in PFL, because I want to get a good feel of like where they are in their like it's been 2 years since most of these competitors have fought. So I want to get a good feeling of where they are in their careers and how they look. But my initial thoughts for sure is Aliev. This guy's riding a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 win streak. His opponent, Mikhail, is riding a 7-fight win streak. He's got a lot of momentum. I don't have a confident pick in this one, to be honest.
Yeah, I just think Aliev is going to be able to mix it up and is the far better overall MMA guy from what I've been able to see again. But
yeah, I thought let's get to the odds.
Yeah, we get to the odds. I think Aliev can hang with it on the feet, but I think he needs to crowd and look to use the grappling, use his wrestling, and I do think he'll be able to get Mikhail down multiple times, and I'm not sure how Mikhail's get-up game is. I think for the most part, he keeps fights at the distance. He keeps, kind of the outside of the black circle, and, I think there's ways Aliev can definitely exploit the game. Aliev is only
on this one.
Yeah, Aliev only a -150 favorite.
Yeah, I thought he beat -250, to be honest.
Yeah, he doesn't look that impressive. He's 5'8". He's a little bit short for the division, but he has a striking game that reminds me similar of like a John Makdessi. We saw how Makdessi looked a few weeks ago against the taller striker. Just because you're the shorter guy doesn't mean you can't use the outside game at points. That's definitely a misnomer.
He's only 1 inch shorter than his counterpart tomorrow or on Friday.
Right, exactly. So I like Aliev. I particularly like him on this price. There's not a lot of prices on this card that I'm loving. -150, I just think that, I think the level of competition of the two is going to be a huge difference. 7-fight win streak, yes, is very impressive, and some of those guys are decent that he's fought. So I will say that. I think that's where the respect comes. Plus 120 for Mikhail, but we got Aliev minus 150. I'm not loading up, but it is one of the ones that I'm gonna parlay with a Lance Palmer, spoiler alert, or like a few of these later fights where I feel better about the
Anthony
favorite
Pettis.
fight. Yeah, so minus 150 is a nice little builder there. Maybe I'm falling for a trap here, and maybe Vegas knows something I don't with this one, but
that's why I alerted people don't load up on this fight at all.
Yeah, this one does. I mean, I don't know if a lot of people are falling in love with Aliev the way I have, so I'll say that first and foremost. But it sure feels like a trap to me. But we will find out in a couple of days. And not loading up on this card is not a bad idea. A next fight at 155 should be really exciting. Joilton Lutterbach. He also goes by Joilton, I think Santos, right?
Yeah, that's how I originally known him, but I guess he changed his name to Lutterbach.
Okay, I don't know what that's about, but I knew him as Joilton Santos as well. He's been around for a little while now. 28 years old, 34-8 record, wild record. Brazil's going to Brazil. Fighting on UFD gym, taking on Raush Manalo, 11-3 overall, and this is a interesting fight here. Santos was originally booked against someone else, I believe.
Oliver Aubin Mercier.
Yeah, against the Canadian gangster.
Canadian.
Yeah, the Canadian gangster. Santos here has fought at welterweight before, and now he's fighting at 155. I'm trying to see. I don't know with these last few fights if he was at 155 or welterweight. It's giving me no sort of identification, but I do know he was fighting at welterweight when he got his finish in Cage Warriors. So this is another one where a guy is going to be dropping a bunch of weight here, but before he dropped the weight, he was getting finishes by punches first round, a lot of first round finishes, a lot of 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes against middling to decent competition. Craig White, he wasn't able to finish, but he did get a decision over him. His loss was to Duplessis, who we've seen how good he is. This is one where it seems like Santos all day. When I look at, he has a win over Alex Oliveira, not the Alex Oliveira you think it is. This is 9-10 Alex Oliveira. So, anyways, Chico.
Alex Oliveira.
Yeah. Are
they the same or were they different?
No, different.
Okay.
And then Raush Manfio, he's 11-3. Definitely has less experience. 20 fighting on Team Nogueira. Has a loss to Sydney Outlaw. Is his last MMA fight back in 2018. It was a decision loss. Also has a loss to Matt Frivola. Did finish DeMarcus Jackson to take his O away in Titan by ground and pound. So that's definitely impressive after last week we saw. I mean, this is interesting. Santos was preparing for a much different opponent. Manfio is going to, also try to grapple, though, at the same point. So I think the game plan will be the same for Santos. He's going to try to, connect early on and get a finish. But I do think that, there are certain points to exploit with Santos, particularly coming down from 170 to 155. I'm not sure if this is his first time or not, but he was a decent-sized welterweight, and I think that cut could be risky and there could be potential gas issues, but I'm going to have to go with Santos here. He is the better striker, the better level of competition, and should be able to finish this one pretty early on. I think he's a guy who probably, if I had to guess, is a fan of the point system being for finishes, being that, he's basically known for his finishing ability. Yeah. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so we got some Brazil on Brazil action here. Raush is coming in short notice. He's a replacement for my boy Oliver Aubameyang, who I was very excited to see in the PFL tournament, but it is what it is. Raush has some good wins. Well, not well. It's hard to like. He has good losses, but his wins aren't the most formidable, which is the
No,
same with Joilton. Like you can't find a really formidable win on his resume either. Like they're far and in between. Like you said, Brazil's gonna Brazil, and it's gonna be a lot of stepping stones.
Yep.
And Joilton is definitely one of those guys who gets in there and fights opponents that aren't on his level. I find, and he just racks up like kind of somewhat easy wins. When he lost in PFL, or no, he never fought in PFL, but okay, I'm thinking of someone else. Someone else fought like 3 times after PFL and got a bunch of wins. But this guy is also coming out of UFC gym, uh, Dusseldorf, who we spoke about earlier. Robdanov is on that. Like he competes in that same gym, so he's got some familiar names alongside him coming into this fight. He's riding a 4-fight win streak, only losing to Dricus du Plessis, who we've seen in the UFC, who I hold in a high regard. He's a great opponent. I think he's going to go far in the UFC.
I agree.
Other than Dricus du Plessis, he's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-1 in his last 11. So yeah, he's a great competitor. Raush coming in short notice. Like you said, he beat DeMarcus Jackson. That's probably his most notable win, beating him by ground and pound round 3. He's lost to Matt Frivola. He lost on the Ultimate Fighter to Glaico Franca, who's got a crazy reach advantage, another PFL competitor. So yeah, he's got good losses on his resume. Sydney Outlaw, another
All
good.
decisions too.
Yeah, all decisions. Like it's hard to finish this guy.
Yeah.
Like you said, Joilton Lutterbach is a finisher. He does have 10 decision wins, which is surprising. But 20 out of his 34 wins are in round 1, which is a 59% rate, which isn't like 59% actually isn't that high. 41% of his fights go past round 1, and he still gets the finish. So, yeah, I think we're on the same page here. I like Joilton to pick up another W here, but it's just hard to trust somebody who really hasn't been tested, and it just seems like he finds mediocre opponents to beat up.
Yeah, I feel like we had a breakdown a few weeks ago, and I can't place which guy right now, but where it was a guy who had amassed a like 18-1, 18-2 type of record, Brazilian, but hadn't faced anybody. And that I just think this is a similar type of thing, and I do think Santos has the ability to finish him, or Lutterbach, whatever you're going to call, whatever he's called at this point.
I think a good comparison is Alex de Silva in UFC. I think Alex de Silva is like 20-2, but you can't pick one good win out of his on his record to really point out.
Yeah, so Joilton is a minus 275 favorite. Again, he's coming down to 155, so the gas to get to that decision could be questionable. There's just a lot of questions here. That's a 15-pound weight cut, and I don't take that lightly. No pun intended, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. But we're on Joilton here again.
That's a big weight
and weigh-ins and going. You got to go carefully on this first PFL in 2 years. So
yeah, we'll keep reminding people throughout the video.
155.
Do not go too heavy on these initial fights. So Joilton was what, minus 250?
275.
Okay, that's reasonable.
Yeah. next fight here, we got
I'll
Brendan.
be right back,
Long-
okay?
Yeah, next fight here, no problem. Next fight here, we got Brendan Lounghnane versus Sheymon Moraes. Sheymon Moraes, formerly of the UFC, taking on Brendan Lounghnane, known for his Dana White Contender Series decision, where Dana did not give him a contract because apparently you have to finish to get a contract, and then that's changed now with the amount of contracts being given out in the Contender Series. But Lounghnane not lucky enough to be part of that sweepstakes. He's been to PFL's gains so far, looking really good. I believe on a 5-fight win streak currently. 19-3 overall, 31 years of age. Nice age to be. And he hasn't really taken on too much yet in PFL. Two guys he's taken on have been decent to middling strikers, Matt Waggy and David Vellante. But he beat both of them, really controlled the game, showed his takedown ability. Looks like he's well-rounded, shaping into a well-rounded guy. His last loss in his last 6 was to Pat Healy by split decision. Put away Mike Wilkinson, has put away some other guys on the European scene, has a split to Tom Duquesnoy as well. So it seems that decent UFC competition just gets him by. And what is he facing this time but a decent former UFC competition in Sheymon Moraes? 11-4 now, 30 years of age, fighting out of Black House MMA and Team Nogueira. 2-fight losing streak, although those 2 fights were to Sadiq Youssef and Andre Fili. Also has a 3rd-round loss to Zabit Magomed Shapirov. His wins coming over Julio Arce by split and Matt Sales, so not too crazy about those wins either. Brendan Lounghnane should be able to do what Brendan Lounghnane does. If he keeps looking the way he has in his last couple fights, mixing up the takedowns a little bit, using those really good leg kicks, uses good body work as well. 19-3, has the experience advantage. Just overall, I think Sheymon Moraes is a little bit sloppy, but does kind of go in there and look to really strike. Has the power advantage here. I think if there's going to be a finish, it would be Brendan Longhnane's side that gets the finish. But it would be Sheymon Moraes' side that gets finished. But I think Brendan Lounghnane just kind of out techniques him in the stand-up, out techniques him with the wrestling and the grappling. And I'll take Lounghnane to get another decision here. Moraes is really tough. Didn't get finished by Sadiq Youssef or Andre Fili. It's hard for me to say he's going to get finished here, but I just think he gets a little outclassed. Lounghnane, just the better overall guy. So I got Lounghnane decision.
Yeah, they've been calling Brendan 10-second Brendan these days because he went for that takedown with 10 seconds left on Contender Series, and that's what Dana White really pointed out.
Yeah,
that was the reason he did not get the contract. And yeah, that's sad. That's his nickname. He's proud. He said it in his interviews. 10-second Brendan is what they call me.
He's put that chip right on his shoulder, and
yeah, I love it. I love fighters with chips on their shoulder.
Yeah, every fighter's got one.
He's out to prove Dana wrong. He's like, you made a mistake not choosing me. He's got an opportunity to win $1 million here. He's gonna go out, look his best. Sheymon is a ex-UFC fighter. He's faced. They threw him to the wolves right off the bat. Like Zabit Magomed Shapirov. He fought Sadiq Youssef, Andre Fili. All these guys are in the top 15.
Yep.
So, and in WSOF, he even fought really good opponents like Marlon Moraes. There's another one I can't think of right now, but yeah, he's been tested. That 11-4 record is deceiving. You got to put his caliber of opponents in effect. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, 3 of his wins have come by split. So say those 3 went the other way, he'd be 8-7 as a professional, and he wouldn't even have a platform right now with an 8-7. He wouldn't be fighting for
$1 million, that's for sure.
Yeah, he would not be in this predicament if another judge went the other way in those 3 split decisions.
Yep.
So Brendan's a hard-nosed grinder. He's from Manchester, England. Those guys grow up fighting.
Yep.
Sheymon is getting old. He lost by knockout pretty
Well,
badly.
Brendan's older.
How old is he?
Brendan's 31 and Shayman's 30.
It just seems like Shaymon's like 36 or 37. I don't know
wars,
why.
man, and he bleeds a lot.
Yeah, and that last knockout he had, it just seemed like he had chin deficiency. Brendan is no finisher of his own, but he goes in there and he has so many tools to just edge out rounds.
Yep.
And with Sheymon having a track record of close decisions, I have Brendan winning this unanimously. The only worry I have is Sheymon maybe clipping him with something crazy. I don't know. Like these Brazilians can catch you.
He's got power. He's got good Muay Thai, good knees. Elbows are not allowed in PFL.
No.
That's one thing.
That's
and that is weapon. A tool of Shaymon's.
A big weapon of his. On the inside, he loves delivering elbows. Mm-hmm. And Brendan has no fear of eating those on the inside, so he can take them down as many times as he wants. Mm-hmm. And I just think PFL knows what they're doing here. And Brendan's a big name. I know he's not that big of a name, but I think they see star potential in him, and he should be able to cruise by Sheymon here and score at least 3 points towards the playoff brackets.
Yeah, and I do think part of what Dana didn't want to sign was a decision machine, which is what Brendan Loughnane is going to be for a long time. I mean, and what Brendan Loughnane can do to Moraes, he can do to a ton of the guys Moraes definitely Sales and Arce he'd do it to. And I just think Dana doesn't want that. Dana wants guys who go in there and fight for your money in a different kind of way than fight for their own money to, secure the wins. So I like how Brendan fights, to be clear.
Me too.
And I think that the odds are way off here. This is one where I was expecting Brendan to shoot to the moon because I was like, oh, they've been talking about him so much. Dana White Contender Series. Only a minus 170. Wow. I really like that price. Plus 140 for Sheymon, who could be 8-7 right now. And if he was 8-7, what are the odds we're looking at? Minus 1,700.
He wouldn't be in PFL. He'd be fighting in the Brazilian circuit.
It's just, and I think that's I think the no elbows thing, I mean, the rules are literally stacked against him. I love Aliev and, Lounghnane as a little two-piece parlay to get a really decent little
That'd
number.
That'd be like plus 200 almost.
Yeah, definitely. And I think both those numbers should shift. So
I did a podcast with Adam Martin, and we talked about this fight like 2 months ago when they first announced the lineups. Mm-hmm. And we both predicted Brendan would be at least a minus 250 favorite. So seeing him at minus 185, minus 190 seems very approachable from a betting perspective.
I agree. So we'll see if it's a trap or not, but I'm going to go with Aliev and Lounghnane and see where it gets me. So we are moving on here. That fight is a great fight. It's at 145. Yeah. We have 4 more fights here to break down. Another 145 one here. Bubba Jenkins versus Lance Palmer. This is Bubba Jenkins has been around, man, 33 years old versus 34 in Lance Palmer. Bubba Jenkins fighting out Black House. Going to have a slight reach advantage, but it doesn't really matter for Lance Palmer. Bubba Jenkins, also a wrestler and a very good MMA wrestler at that. He's definitely played spoiler to some decent guys. Has a decision win over Goti Yamaguchi, who just lost to Dan Moret, but still a good guy. Beat Joe Wilk. Beat Jordan Parsons to kind of spoil him back when he was a prospect. Has 2 losses to Georgi Karikian, both of them getting finished. One triangle or one guillotine and one punch KO. Got KO'd by Ali Bagad, or got submitted by Ali Bagov by a reverse triangle. That was his last loss. He is coming off an impressive win over Lucas Martins. Got a ground and pound finish. Lucas Martins, former UFC guy himself, 20-4. So definitely a good win for him there. So that's interesting, but very different fighter from what Lance Palmer is. Lance Palmer, former Team Alpha Male. Was he a coach there or no?
Yeah, I think he was part of the coaching staff.
He was like one of the wrestling coaches of Ohio State wrestler, one of the better collegiate wrestlers to come over into MMA, and that's what he does. He goes in there and gets decisions, and but I mean, everybody who he beats, he gets decisions against pretty much. He did give Luis Rafael Laurentino his second loss, and he got a ground and pound finish in the third round. In that fight, that was his last finish, but he hasn't lost a fight since Andre Harrison back in World Series of Fighting 2017. He also had a decision loss to De Almeida back then in 2015. But yeah, it's Lance Palmer. You kind of know what Lance Palmer is going to do. I do think that Bubba Jenkins has good wrestling, too. And so Bubba Jenkins could really cancel this out. And then if it's on the feet, it's anybody's fight. Yep. It really is, because Lance Palmer's stand-up is not even close to solid. But his grappling and wrestling, it's hard to believe that he's not going to be able to get it there. And maybe he uses the frustration as fuel to maybe go for a finish in this one. Bubba has been finished several times in his career, both by KO and submission. I could see Lance Palmer possibly, if Bubba shoots in on a sloppy takedown, getting a guillotine and finishing it that way as well. So I'm going to take Lance Palmer. I just don't know if I can pick him to get a decision. To get anything but a decision. It's just hard to.
Yeah, he was complaining, like he doesn't care if he gets the finish or not. He's just concentrated on the win. If he wins by decision, he doesn't care. He says he's going to leave PFL if he wins twice by a dominant decision and he doesn't make the playoffs, he's going to leave regardless. So these two have had history together. They fought in the NCAA wrestling circuit. Okay. Lance Palmer actually lost 3 times to Bubba Jenkins in wrestling. Lance Palmer ended up winning 1 time, so they're 3-1 right now. Bubba has that mental edge over him.
Definitely.
I've listened to Bubba's interviews. He seems like he's ready to go. He's with Dewey Cooper. We've seen what Dewey Cooper has done with Francis Ngannou, Kevin Lee. There's more athletes. I can't think of them right now. But yeah, Bubba Jenkins, he's the former Brave champion. Apparently he came out with a crown and everything. Like he was the king over in Brave in Abu Dhabi. So he made a name for himself in that area. He has a long Bellator former career in Bellator. What was his record? In Bellator, Bubba was 8-3. He actually has a win over Gochi Yamamochi, who we just saw get robbed by Dan Moret. So that's a very that's a win that really stands out in my eyes.
Yeah,
Lance, like these two might cancel each other out. It might be a sloppy kickboxing fight for 3 rounds. We don't know. It might be similar to the Alexander Romanov versus Juan Espino, because both those guys were very talented grapplers, and we got the same. I know they're heavyweights, but
they cancel each other out. They mirror each other in a lot of ways. And Bubba with the advantage in the wrestling.
And Lance Palmer is 11-0 in PFL, but 3 of those wins are Alex Gilpin. Yes. So like 30% of his career is beating Alex Gilpin in PFL. And I'm not saying Alex is a bad fighter.
There's your argument to not go to UFC right there. You can fight Alex Gilpin 3 times and get paid to win all 3.
Yeah, and yeah, he gets the win bonus too. Like he's beat some decent names. I'm not gonna lie. Like Bob Bekbulat Magomedov, 19-2. Andre Harrison, he did avenge his loss to him. He actually gave Andre Harrison his first loss as a professional. Andre was 19-0 at that time.
Yeah, he beat a 34-1 guy. Finished the 34-1 guy. I have not heard of the guy he finished.
But... Oh, Louis Rafael. Yeah, he actually knocked out Jeremy Kennedy, I'm pretty sure. This guy's a crazy Brazilian. Like he's a question mark, that guy. Yeah, he did. Oh no, Jeremy Kennedy knocked him out in round 2.
Okay.
Oh no, Jeremy Kennedy. He did knock out Jeremy Kennedy, and then Kennedy got his revenge on him. So yeah, they had a bit of a back and forth.
All right.
But yeah, this is like you said, mirror images of themselves. Lance Palmer, 2-time PFL champion. He's already got $2 million in the bank for fighting for PFL, which is probably more than most UFC fighters can say they've accumulated. Yep. I hold Lance Palmer in the top 5 featherweights in MMA. Bubba Jenkins was actually kind of a question mark to me when I first saw his name, because I know of a couple of Bubba fighters, and after doing research on Jenkins, I do give him a really good chance here, but Lance Palmer I think is just a level ahead, and I'm probably gonna go Lance Palmer by decision.
Yep, Lance Palmer by decision here as well. Lance Palmer is currently minus 345, plus 260 on Jenkins.
I might actually take a stab. Like from a betting perspective, I heard Bubba on Adam Hunter's podcast, MMA Roasted, and he was so confident, man. Like he almost convinced me to bet on himself.
Foreign wrestling, that's interesting. So we shall see.
He's got that edge.
Yeah, we shall see. We shall see. Very interesting stuff. We are going to move on now to third from the top. I believe we're going back over to the 145 division, and we are, getting closer here. This is one that I know that we're both excited to see this guy back in PFL. Movilid, Khaybulaev, taking on Lazar Stojadinovic. I'll call him Lazar here from here on out. Stojadinovic. And
you couldn't have butchered that anymore.
What's that?
You couldn't have butchered that anymore.
Thank you. I'll let you take a shot in a second too. You can host the next week. Bronx Bomber is his nickname. Go ahead and you get to set up all these. I can't wait. So he is currently on a 2-fight win streak. He's 14-7 overall. So a little bit of a salty record for the Extreme Couture representative, 32 years old now. He's on a 2-fight win streak. Had a decision win over Isaac Sheldon. Don't know who that is. Got a finish over a 3-5 guy. He has been finished by Erwin Rivera in the first round. That's troubling.
The guy in jail right now?
Yeah.
That guy?
Yeah, not really a guy who I've been that impressed with even before he got thrown in.
I don't think he has one UFC win.
No, he didn't.
He went 0-3.
Yeah, and Tan Lee, he lost to on the Contender Series, second round. Lee was just kind of able to keep the distance. Lazar's best win and what he's known for is a decision win over Mike Richmond, where Richmond took everything he had and still didn't go down. So a little bit of a power question for Lazar here. And I mean, he's decent, but I just think that he's taking on the guy in Khaybulaev, Movilid, who's just levels above him, nicknamed the Killer for a reason. Had that 10-second knockout of Damon Jackson.
Yeah.
Had a majority draw with Andre Harrison. Was very close. But I do think Movilid won that fight, but it was a close one, and Harrison was able to cancel him out with a lot of his grappling. To be honest, he did get finished by Daniel Pineda, who was on steroids, so that got changed to a no contest, but Pineda finished him in 29 seconds. So there's that.
It doesn't say if it was steroids. It might have been marijuana. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that Pineda served a 2-year suspension for steroids in PFL.
Is that why he went to the UFC?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was not marijuana, because he had another win overturned and he looked like a different fighter over there. Movilid was able to rebound with a rear naked choke against a 16-10 guy. yeah, I just expect him here to just get a finish. I think a first-round finish could very well be in order for him as well. He's just the better guy overall here. Lazar, 32 years old. His best days are behind him, and his best days weren't that amazing. He's been finished by Thon Lee, been finished by Erwin Rivera. We don't know if these were finishes or not earlier in his career, as they just say losses. But he's been there with some decent competition, but never seemed to beat that decent competition. He does have a win also over Jordan Parsons. So that's two guys on this card who their best win is Jordan Parsons, Bubba Jenkins, and now Lazar. Lazar did finish him, but I like Movilid here to get a first-round finish. And he's one of my favorites for the tournament overall.
Yeah, Movilid is a beast, man. Like, I can watch that 10-second highlight reel flying knee knockout over and over again on a loop.
Yeah.
Like, that was something special. He made Damon Jackson delete all his social medias because he just couldn't. I don't know if people were tagging him in it or what, but it got
viral
bad.
knockout.
It was a viral knockout, yeah, and I don't know. He deleted all his social medias after that. He went to a draw with Andre Harrison, who we spoke about, one of the best wrestlers in MMA. Period.
Yep.
The no contest to Daniel Pineda. He has a win over Herbert Burns, who's in the UFC. He didn't show the best account of himself, Herbert Burns, in his last fight, but I think there were some weight issues going on there.
Yep.
I think Herbert Burns actually lost to Daniel Pineda. But, yeah, Movilid did get that rebound win, rear naked choke against nobody really worth mentioning.
60-10 guy, yeah.
Yeah, Lazar also has 2 wins, really not worth mentioning, and losing to Erwin Rivera, who
first round.
Yeah, who I really don't think is that high level. Ton Lee, I do think is better than Erwin, but still, like, he got knocked out back to back. He beat 2 guys that are like just not mentionable, and Movilid has a place in the PFL already. He's got that highlight reel knockout. People know who he is. I think PFL match. Oh, actually, Lazar's coming in short notice. I don't know if you mentioned this.
Yes,
Jason
I forgot to mention.
Soares.
Yep.
Yeah, Jason Soares was the original opponent. Lazar's already been knocked out twice. Movilid, like you said, what's his nickname? It's
the Killer. Or
the
Killer.
Killer.
It's just Killer,
like,
not even
it's that easy. It's that,
not
yeah,
even
Killer.
Just Killer.
Just Killer. Like, it just doesn't get more straightforward than that. His finishing rate is actually only 8 out of 15 finishes. So half of his wins are by decision. And when he goes to a decision, it's never a question. It's 7 unanimous. He is still undefeated since that Daniel Pineda knockout was overturned. And it was kind of controversial in my opinion. He got leg kicked and like there was a barrage of hooks, but Movilid was never actually completely unconscious.
Yeah.
And Daniel Pineda was on the sauce apparently. So
Indeed.
Definitely should be a no contest in my opinion.
He's had plenty of time to recover from it. So
and he's already rebounded with that rear naked choke. And he was never unconscious. It was a 29-second, I think, kind of like a fluke. You could almost say a fluke type of loss there. Not even an official loss. So, yeah, I'm with Movilid all day. Probably knockout. I'm not going to bet on somebody who's 14-7 and coming in short notice.
Yeah, Movilid is a minus 590. A little steep price there.
Is that the biggest favorite on the card?
I believe he is the biggest favorite on the card, tied with the main event.
Oh, yeah, true. Okay.
So, that's, it is what it is. If I were to say between this and the main event without spoiling it, I'd feel more confident in this one than the main event to bet a 590 on here.
Mm-hmm.
Just because Clay Colliard is a wild man. And so, like, a wild man at that price, we'll see. I think it's going to be an interesting night of
Lazar
fights.
does come from a good team, Extreme Couture and American Top Team. Like I said before, don't go heavy on these first initial fights.
Yep, very true. So we're gonna move on now to the next
Co-main.
fight here, the co-main event of the evening, and the order of this might be all the way around. It's Tapology, so but I am sure this will be the co-main. Natan Schulte, PFL two-time winner, correct?
Yep.
Of the 155
Another
division.
$2 million in his bank account.
Yeah, and who the hell was Natan Schulte before he was in PFL? No one knew who he was.
I don't think anybody still knows who Natan Schulte is.
Well, correct. He's the invisible millionaire, though. Taking on Marcin Held, Natan Schulte 23-1. Marcin Held 26-7. The Poland product is 29. They're both 29 years old. 71-inch reach for him, 69-inch for Shoot. Marcin Held, I'll start with the Polish grappling kind of superstar, known for his leg locks, known for his heel hooks. He's gotten some good guys in them as well. He also has the ability to fight to a decision. Got to a decision against Diego Brandao in his last MMA bout. Has been
down a bit more there. I just want to point out one thing. Go down on the Tapology a bit more. I think it's coming up. There it is.
Yeah.
Look at that win.
Yeah, and his one win in the UFC was Nazareth Hatprest.
That's huge.
Yeah, and his losses were to Diego Sanchez before Diego Sanchez was shot. Joe Lozon was a split decision, really good fight, and he was winning against Damir Hadzovic. He got caught with a perfect knee as he was Imanari rolling in. But that will happen. But Marcin Held, I really rate in high regard with his grappling. I think his grappling is very legitimate. I like that he's been on Polaris' scene a little bit here. Had some mixed results, but going against some decent guys. PJ Barch, I know, is a very good guy, as is Kieran Davern. I don't know Ashley Williams as well, but I do like that he's staying active in the grappling bout, testing himself against good guys. Also, heel hook Callan Potter in his
UFC fighter.
Yeah, former UFC fighter, UFC winner as well. So he's on a 3-fight MMA winning streak. Actually, 4-fight MMA winning streak. Hasbrat started that out. And I think that it's going to be a very well-rounded, well-matched fight here against Natan Schulte. Natan Schulte of American Top Team, the Brazilian. Just kind of good everywhere, but particularly in the grappling, is really, really strong. Can get a decision, also has several submissions in the PFL as well. Variety of chokes, rear naked choke and arm triangle choke over Aliev as well. I think this is one that's going to be very close again. I think it's grappler versus grappler. We might see, it might be who has the best stand-up winning this fight. I don't know. I don't see either guy being able to submit the other guy. I think they're both too high level. And I think they really mirror each other. I think this is a decision all day. And it's who can kind of dominate the grappling exchanges. And I'll say Schulte, but I wouldn't bet on it, especially at the price it's at. I think Held at the price he's at is making it very tempting to want to bet on him. But I can't do it. I got to go with Schulte. I'm picking both two-time winners here. I wanted to go against one of them. And both of them, I think, have very tough fights, and I could definitely see one of them losing or both losing, honestly. And with the prices they're at, it's risky. Go light here. Go light.
Yeah, good advice.
Schulte would be my choice by decision.
Yeah, Marcin Held, I thought he was a lot older than 29. I thought he was like 36, 37. But he's in the prime of his career. He has an opportunity to win $1 million.
Yep.
Natan Schulte has already won the $1 million twice. So it's tough to see where his motivation is at this point in his career. He's done it twice already.
It's better than $2 million.
Another $1 million.
$3 million. Do you know how much that camps take? Do you know how much that agents take, management takes, taxes take in both countries? I mean, that $2 million, in the words of Succession, you're a poor rich man.
Well, that's only from the finales. He got paid the entire year as well, whatever the fight contracts were.
Definitely.
So I'm guessing he got at least $3 million, $3.2 million.
No,
if he's smart with his money, he should be in a wealthy spot.
Yep.
Marcin Held has never had that yet. He's never held $1 million, Marcin. You like
I
that
see what
pun?
you did. I see what you did there.
So 29, they're both in their prime actually still. They're both the same age.
Yep.
A lot of high-level experience on both ends. Good grapplers. American top team versus the Polish fighter out of Ankos MMA. I've heard of Ankos MMA.
Good grappling camp, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there's a lot of good Polish prospects from there. Somebody fighting on KSW this weekend. Yeah, a lot of names I can't pronounce, but yeah, a lot of KSW.
Go ahead
fighting.
after talking about Lazar. Go ahead and try out those pronunciations.
Yeah, I'm gonna just call him Lazar.
Yeah.
Marcin Held. The Polish MMA scene has been on full display.
Polish
power all around.
Gamera.
And this guy might not have the knockout power, but he's got the submission power, and he's got the hunger. He's just got an opportunity that not a lot of fighters get. 155 pounds, that's his natural weight class.
Yes, sir.
I don't think he's ever really went to 170 or 145.
Nope.
And that win over Nasrat Hakbaras just keeps catching my eye. Like, I gotta rewatch that fight because it's just hard to believe he has a win over somebody that talented. Maybe he got him while he was still green in his career.
Yeah.
And that is probably more the case. But I don't know. I don't know where Natan's motivation is. He's on like a crazy win streak. He's got a draw to Johnny Case. That's the only bad thing I can say, really. He lost to Islam Mammadov by an armbar in round 2, but Marcin Held could easily get an armbar or a heel hook, grab one of those limbs and just yank. So yeah, like you said, I know the odds for this. I don't like Natan Schulte's odds at all. I don't even like parlaying him. No. Even though he is a former 2-time champion, Marcin held his own with some of the best in the sport. He's only 29. I really thought he was older than that. And this might be his time to shine.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes Held with his submission, he is a submission over position guy at times, and Schulte could really exploit that and ride it to a decision here.
We've seen that numerous times. Yeah, I can see that happening.
Minus 420 is Schulte, so that's crazy talk to me. Really leaning me towards taking the underdog at plus 340 and Marcin Held, who can get a submission or decision. I'm going to have to really think about that one because I'll be honest, I'm tempted. So we'll see. I'm leaning towards Schulte with a close decision, though, which means that the guy who I think can finish and also get a decision is Held in this case. So we'll see. Any thoughts on this before we head to the main event?
I'm just taking a look at Natan's opponents. He did beat aforementioned Akhmet Aliev, who we're really high on this card. He beat Radzhabov in the finale, Rashid Magomedov, Chris Wade twice. Like he's got the names to back up that minus 450 favorite odds, but it's just I want to see how these fights play out after a year hiatus and how all the fighters look with the empty arena. Nerves can play in effect, ring rust. So yeah, let's take it easy this card, and we'll see we'll go heavier the next time.
Fair enough. All right, we are going to move on to our main event now of the evening. It takes place at 155, and it is the return to MMA of Clay Collard. Also, Anthony Pettis' PFL debut, I guess, would be the more notable part here. But hey, I like Clay Collard. Cassius Clay Collard.
Cassius. That's right.
Yeah, Cassius. You know, the former professional boxer had some decent luck over there, taking on Anthony Showtime Pettis. Old school, new school MMA favorite. Kind of a legend, if you will. Definitely in the game.
He was on the Wheaties box.
Yeah, he was the first athlete on the Wheaties box at that, and had the Showtime kick that launched MMA into kind of the era we're in now. He's now 34 years old.
Yeah,
Anthony's 34 years old now.
getting up
Coming
there.
back down to 155, had a stint up at 170. Clay Collard is where I'm going to start. Unfortunately, 2-fight losing streak in boxing, but before that, had some really solid wins. I believe the Maurice Williams fight, he was a gigantic underdog for, and ended up cashing. But overall, he went
He was
five.
minus 2,500 in that fight.
Yeah, he was minus 2,500. He's gone 9-4, and 9-4-3. Like, it's kind of a crazy record in boxing, and did it all within about a year, 2019 and 2020. So within 2 years, had most of his boxing experience. 2021 so far, he's lost both of his fights, unfortunately. And he was on a decision loss. His last MMA fight was against Randall Wallace. It was a decision back in April 19th of 2019, not that far ago. It was at 155. Had a finish against Lucas Montoya in March of that year as well. It was for 5 rounds. He was training. He finished that fight. Clay Collard is a wild man, basically. I don't really know if what camp he's fighting out for this, or if he's been training MMA, though. That's the thing. Anthony Pettis coming back down to 155, had a win over Alex Munoz to end his UFC career. That was at welterweight, and it was closer than it should have been. Also had a decision over Donald Cerrone. Before that, was worked by Diego Ferreira before it finished. Nate Diaz beat him pretty handily as well. He had a war against Tony Ferguson, then broke his hand and kind of quit. And yeah, I mean, Anthony Pettis had that miracle knockout of Wonder Boy, and I feel like that was kind of the last real Anthony Pettis we've seen. I get we had a few decisions to end his UFC career, but overall, he's kind of looking like he was going through the motions with the UFC. So I think the change of scenery, I do think getting down to 155 will help with his focus and with his overall ability to perform. I think he stays in better shape when he needs to make the weight cuts. I think Anthony Pettis is the better striker here, the more diverse striker. Clay Collard has to make this a totally wild, sloppy fest, I think, in order for it to be a chance. And still, I don't give him much of a chance. I'll take Anthony Pettis here, and I think he'll just get a decision win, honestly. I think he's just going to kind of I think Clay is tough, and I do think that Anthony's not going to put himself into positions he needs to get the finish, just to keep it safe and keep this smart. I just think he's at a point in his career where Anthony Pettis isn't looking to really do the crazy stuff. But then again, he had the Superman punch to beat Wonder Boy after and was losing that fight. So maybe Clay's kind of putting it to him with the boxing, and he's pushed out of his comfort zone, and it makes him look great again. But I think Anthony Pettis, pretty conventional stand-up decision. I don't think this fight touches the ground on either side.
Yeah, man. Anthony Pettis isn't one to take his opponents down and grind them out. He's definitely a stand-up artist and loves to shine in that department. Clay Cassius, coming off a boxing stint, going 9-4-3, 2017 to 2021, so 4 years in boxing. Clay's definitely going to be the younger gentleman here, 28 years old, so he's really just entering his prime, while Anthony Pettis is 34, reaching I don't want to say the end of his career, but he's got 3 good years left. And this is a huge spot for both men. I think Clay's going to just get out MMA'd here. He's been in the boxing mind frame for 4 years now. Anthony Pettis has been facing some of the most high caliber fighters in the UFC, other than Alex Morono. I would say, other than that, he's faced the highest caliber fighters: Donald Cerrone,
Sorry.
Nate Diaz, Stephen Thompson, Tony Ferguson, Michael Chiesa, Dustin Poirier, Jim Miller, Max Holloway. Actually, they both have a similar loss here. Clay Collard actually lost to Max Holloway as well. They both lost to him round 3 knockout. So that just shows how much pressure Max Holloway puts on his opponents and gets them out late in fights, usually with all that pressure and volume. Max is one of my favorite fighters. But yeah, this is going to be an awesome fight, man. I see a striking war. I think the kicks are going to play dividends here. Keep him on the outside. I think the speed is going to be around the same. Even though Anthony's only 34, he's still like a very fast athlete. He has the technique for days. He's still fast twitch in there. He's got Duke Rufus. He's got his brother. His brother's fighting like next week or in 2 weeks against in Bellator.
Very good point.
Yeah, so those guys are grinding together. Clay, it says he's coming from the Pit Elevated team out of Utah. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, some hard-nosed grinders, hard-nosed fighters from that area. So like you said, it's probably going to be a decision. I don't see takedowns at all in this fight. I see a 3-round striking affair, and yeah, I just see Anthony Pettis edging it out, and he's going to try to avoid as much damage as possible to look just as sharp in his next fight, because we got the tournament, right? So you don't want to take much damage in your very first of the tournament.
Yep. So I agree. The odds minus 620.
Too much.
Way too much. So
maybe we can get a decision prop come fight day.
Yeah, possibly, but
actually, I have over and unders. 1 sec. I think the over 2.5 might be worth looking at.
And what's that?
We got over 2.5 is
minus 300.
I think it's playable. Minus 110.
I like that. Minus 110
might be the way to go.
Definitely when it's a 600.
Almost even money.
Definitely at 600, you got to figure out something. That will conclude the PFL section of the card. We're just going to quickly hop over to ONEFC. These are brand new odds, so we haven't gotten to look at them too much. And it's only for the top 2 fights of the card, so bear that in mind.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we're going to go ahead and take a look at those real quick. The first one is Reese McLaren, who we're a little bit familiar with just studying this kind of level. For some reason, one's topology always closes way earlier for some reason. I don't know why. They say it's like, but co-main event 135, Reese McLaren versus Yuya Wakamatsu. And we do have odds on this one. This is at 135. The Australian, we'll look at Reese Lightning McLaren first. He's been around for a minute, only 29 years old, but at 135, that's starting to get towards the end of the prime in a way, unfortunately. He also coming off a boxing bout. But we look at his record, and he's fought some really good guys, fought guys like 25-2 over in ONEFC. Akhmet, I don't know who that is. And Tanny Kingod at 12-1, and he fought him to a split decision, was not finished on. Then is on a 2-fight winning streak with one, beating a 15-2 guy by rear naked choke, and then kneeing a 7-0 guy in Alexei Tovinen. So I mean, honestly, Reese has not gotten any favors since he joined PFL or ONEFC. And Yuya Wakamatsu, I'm not as familiar with him. 26 years old. He's going to be the younger fighter here, fighting out of Tribe Tokyo. but he's been in ONEFC for 5 fights now. Also lost to Tandy Kigan. Then he got Demetrius Johnson. I remember that fight. Lost in the second round to Demetrius. And then since facing Demetrius, 2 first-round knockouts and a decision win. So coming into this fight, it appears to kind of be the striker-grappler situation. And Yuya has been taken advantage of in the grappling department before, and I think that Reese can possibly do it again. I think that I'm not going to be betting this heavy at all, but I'll take a little shot on the dog once I saw the price. Reese is a plus 300 dog. So I think that they face similar levels of competition, had similar results, and the way that Reese wins this fight is the way Yuya loses the fight. So if Yuya keeps it in his world on the feet, I think Reese has a lot of trouble here. But if Reese can get it down in 2 rounds, he can get a decision, and I also think he has a submission ability. So I'll take a shot on the 300 dog. Give me Reese.
Holy. Yeah, those odds are definitely off. Reese is more in his prime at 29. Yuya 26, the younger of the two. First off, Reese has one of the best nicknames, Reese Lightning. I love that.
Reese Lightning, baby.
That just rolls right off the tongue. Reese Lightning. And they're both on a bit of a winning streak here. Reese has 2. Yuya has 3 in a row, and Yuya, I have no it's not a big deal that he lost to Demetrius Johnson, in my opinion. Apparently he actually put up a good fight in that encounter. Demetrius thought he could just roll through these Japanese fighters, and he put up a good first round. I thought he might have won that first round, but then Demetrius turned it up in round 2 and got that submission over him. Reese, New Zealand fighter, so many notable opponents on his resume. He lost a split to Danny, who also beat Yuya. Danny beat Yuya by unanimous, actually. Reese lost by a split, so that could have went either way. Bibiano Fernandez. He lost by another split. These judges just don't like favoring Reese here. I don't know why. You got to remember, one is judged by the entirety. It's not judged by round by round. So there could have been a really significant moment in that fight. Mark Striegel, we've seen him in the UFC. He got a rear naked choke over him. Ben Nye win. Another split decision loss. If he just sharpens his tools up a bit, fixes a few areas in his game, he might go pretty far in this sport. He's still only 29. We could see him fighting for the one championship one day. Yuya's a very fast opponent, obviously. Is this 125? This must be, bantamweight. So
135.
135. They got the dehydration thing going on. Reese Lightning. That's a great nickname for this weight class too. I bet you he is fast as lightning. And I'm gonna tune into this fight. I don't know if I'm gonna bet it, but if my bookie comes out with odds, and like you said, plus 300 for somebody who's lost 3 split decisions to very formidable opponents, I'll take a stab at that too.
Yeah, same here. And then real quickly, we'll go over to this is just, a little side part. ONEFC at this point, we're not doing full breakdowns for John Lineker versus Troy Worthen. And this is at 145. So featherweight fight here. Troy Worthen of Lakeland, Florida, 7-1. Really got into his opponent's face at the weigh-ins, as you mentioned. Lineker did not seem too bothered by that.
Stayed stoic the entire time.
Yeah, I think Lineker comes into this fight and gives Worthen his first KO as a pro or an amateur. He's 10-1 altogether. His only loss coming in his last fight to Yusuf Stojadinovic, and a 19-5 guy who I'm not super familiar with. The one thing I can say, Troy will be the taller guy at 5'7", so he's not a super long 145er, but he'll be the taller guy. But typically Troy goes in there and he tries to get the knockout. And he, has gotten a few knockouts in his career, but I just think he's, faced a few decent guys, a 7-0 guy, 6-1, and a 19-6 guy, but I haven't heard of any of these guys. They're all in one, however. He is 3-1 with one, and his only loss being in his last fight. John Lineker, on the other hand, is 33-9. We know him from the UFC, only 30 years old, 5'3", fighting out of American Top Team. He is currently 2-0 with one. He has a second-round knockout in his last fight. Fought to a decision in his first fight as well. He had a split decision loss against Corey Sandhagen, which is super impressive, obviously. Yeah. Both his fights in one have been at featherweight. He seems to be comfortable going the distance. Lineker wins this fight. I'm not going to get too creative here. I'll say a finish.
Yeah, John Lineker was supposed to fight on next week's one card, but Troy's opponent dropped out, so they moved John Lineker to this one to replace Troy's opponent. John Lineker 33-9, but he started his career 6-5, so he might have been a slow learner, or he just faced opposition that was a few levels ahead of where he was at the moment. So right. 33-9, but 6-5 to start. So he's only lost 4 times in the past, like 10 plus years. And those losses are to Corey Sandhagen, TJ Dillashaw, Ali Bogatinov, and Louis Godino, the guy with the green hair, if you remember him. He got caught with the guillotine. Yep. And his opposition is just outstanding. Like the guys he's beat. I know the biggest opponent for John Lineker is the scale. He might have set a record for the most times missing weight in the UFC. But
which is why he's at 145. Yeah.
Pardon?
Which is why he's at 145 now.
Yeah, with one, you don't have to step on the scales. You just come in, whatever weight you are, you fight. So this is a great promotion for his for his body, or just to avoid the whole weight cutting scenario.
And he gets to fight guys who are 7-1.
Against the guy 7-1.
Yeah.
No notable names. I don't really know the Asian scene as much. I'm not as invested, but he beat Liu Chen and Ru Chen. So those might have been brothers. I don't know. But yeah, like no names, no mentionable names. John Lineker really should go in there. I saw a clip. John Lineker's opponent, Troy was doing some shadow boxing right in his face, and John Lineker just stood there like, buddy, let's save it for the fight. I think he's trying to play mental games with John, and it's not working. And John's going to let his hands of stones. He's just going to unleash those hands of stone and probably knock him out. I'm hoping for a knockout. I hope we get fireworks tonight.
Yeah, well, we have so far on the main events in some way or another, the first two. So
again, that Paul Daly versus Saba Hamasi fight, I got to throw that out there. One of my favorite fights I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, that was a great fight.
That was a banger.
Didn't feel bad picking Saba after, at least.
I messaged you. I'm like, oh, Paul Daly's done. I'm like, there goes my bet.
Yeah, so
he came back.
For now, neither one of us is super delved into the ONEFC scene. But
no, not yet.
We definitely wanted to just cover those because we are going to be watching tonight. We suggest everybody else does. It's free TV. But yeah, that does it for the first of 3 breakdowns that we have for this week. We've got the LFA breakdown tomorrow, same time around 3:30 p.m. tomorrow, Thursday. That is April, whatever, I don't know, 22nd. And then we are going to be back later in the night. As people may have seen or may not have seen, Brian Battle made it onto the Ultimate Fighter. He's going to be fighting on the middleweight division. And so he's going to be away from the podcast for a few weeks, but have no fear. You're going to have Brandon and I for now the UFC as well as LFA as well as the PFL / ONEFC / whatever else that we decide to do as we go. But
And
yeah,
and we got timestamps coming, and it's
yes,
going to be a podcast format.
yeah,
Download Coffee
podcast.
and Knockouts podcast.
Yeah, podcast is coming as well as timestamps. I was writing those down as we went, so hopefully they're somewhat accurate. But either way, we're doing our best. We appreciate everybody who's listening. Yeah, hopefully we can help you guys make some money because we know we've been killing it with these smaller promotions and looking forward to Double Breakdown Thursday tomorrow. But for Brandon, for Aaron, the dog, we are out. Have a great night, everybody. Keep taking care of each other. Peace.